Let me get this recorder going. There we go. And let's take a look at graphs of equations in two variables and circles. Specifically, all we're going to really look at here is circles. The rest of it is really college algebra, and I don't spend a huge amount of time on that when we should be doing trig. But let's refresh our memory on the circle. We have our standard form, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And if you have it in that form, then your center is going to be hk, and your radius is going to be r. So let's take a look at some problems revolving around this. First one says, write the standard form of the equation and the general form of the equation of each circle of radius r and center hk. Graph each circle. So they tell us r is equal to 4, and they tell us they give us center, which is hk, is 3, negative 1. Well, this is telling us directly this is h and this is k. And of course this is r, so we take our standard form. We got x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So we got x minus, and h we said was 3, and y minus and k we said was negative 1, and r squared, so we'd have 4 squared. Now for our standard form, we do a little bit of simplifying. The negative negative here becomes a positive, so we got y plus 1 squared, and 4 squared gives us 16. So that's our first answer. Okay. Now the second thing they're asking for is to come up with the general form. General form means get rid of parentheses, get everything over one side, and we'll see how we rearrange them. So x minus 3 squared, we can write that as x minus 3 times x minus 3. And y plus 1 squared, we can rewrite as y plus 1 times y plus 1. Well, x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Y times y is y squared. Y times 1 is 1y or y. 1 times y is 1y or y. 1 times 1 is 1. And I'll bring the 16 over the left side. Get 0 there. So we got x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 2y. And let's see about the numbers. We got 9 here plus 1, that's 10, minus 16 gives us negative 6. So we have added everything correctly. Yep. Now we're going to put the x squared first, and then we'll put the y squared. So we'll put the squareds first, going from alphabetically x and y. And then next I'm going to put the negative 6x plus 2y. So we'll put everything to the first power. Again, alphabetically, x and then y. And then we'll have our number here. And that's our general form. Now the graph of this. Yeah, if I come up here, I'll just do the graph right here. It tells us center is at 3, negative 1. So 3, negative 1 would be right here. Now our radius is 4, which means you're going to go out a distance of 4 in some direction. I'll go to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, be right here. So we're then going to go around, as well as I can do freehand, drawing a circle. Now what the radius means is that no matter where I look here, this distance will be our radius, which was 4. So that'd be our graph. Let's look at another one. This is a different type. We got 4 times x plus 3 squared plus 4 times y minus 2 squared equals 8. Now it says find the center HK and radius R of each circle, then graph it, and then find the intercepts. Well, the easiest way to find the center and radius is to get it in standard form. If you have it in standard form, then you can quickly identify the center and the radius. Well, this is almost in standard form. Standard form says you have x plus or minus a number, y plus or minus a number, and then both of them squared equals a number. Well, we can't have a number in front of the parentheses, but that one's easy. We can go through here and divide everything by 4. So I'll divide that by 4. And divide that by 4, and divide this by 4. And over here, this 4 is going to cancel, and those 4s will cancel. So we got x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 4 divided by 4, or 8 divided by 4 is 2. Sorry. Now this is in the standard form. Now once you got it in the standard form, this is going to be your h. Whatever number is with your x is always your h. And it's going to be opposite sign. So h is going to equal to negative 3. Whatever number is with your y is going to be your k, and it's going to be opposite sign. So k is going to equal to 2. And this is going to be our r, and what we do is whatever number is there, we take the square root of it. So r is going to equal to the square root of 2. So our center is hk, which h was negative 3 and k is 2. And our radius is the, actually, try it again. Radius is r, which is the square root of 2. So those would be our first answers. There's our center, and there's our radius. Then they're asking us to graph it. That was like part A. Part B, graph it. Square root of 2, if I plug that in my calculator, square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. So it's somewhere between 1 and 2. A little bit closer to 1 than the other way. So we got negative 3, 2. Go there and put our center. Now I'm going to go at a little bit more in distance of 1. And then I'll go around, creating a circle, like that. Okay, so now let's look at our intercepts. We got x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 2. I've made these numbers up. Hopefully they don't all come up as oddball cases in this regard, but at least you see the steps. First thing we'll do is we'll find the x-intercept. You say, well, why the oddball cases? Look at our graph. Is it intercepting the x-axis or y-axis? No. For our x-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for y and solve. You always plug 0 into the other variable. Okay, so I got x plus 3 squared plus 0 minus 2 squared equals 2. We got x plus 3 squared plus 0 minus 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared gives us 4 equals 2. And we got x plus 3 squared equals, take the 4 over. We're going to use the square root property, so you have to get the part that's squared by itself, which gives us negative 2. Now what the square root property says, and this is good for a refresher memory on that, is square root property, you drop your squared and you put a plus or minus square root around the other side. Then you solve for x, take the negative 3 over, and here, remember, a negative number inside of a square root gives us an I. So it'll give us x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus I square root of 2. Well, when you get an I and you're trying to find the intercept, that means there is none. So there is no x-intercept. Well, let's take a look at our y-intercept. You always plug 0 into the other variable. So I plug 0 in for x and solve. So we're going to have 0 plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 2. Well, 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 2. Bring the 9 over, because we have to get the part that's squared by itself to use the square root property. 2 minus 9 gives us negative 7. Square root property, drop a squared, and put a plus or minus square root around the other side. And then solve for y. So we'll take the negative 2 over, it becomes a positive 2. Bring the negative inside the square root gives us an I, and we get y is equal to 2 plus or minus I squared root of 7. Again, if you get i's, that means there is no intercept. So there is no y-intercept. So there is no x-intercept, there is no y-intercept on that particular problem. Let's save this. Ready for start a new page. And I'll call this trig, and then circles part 01. There we go. That's interesting. Oh, yeah, it's been doing that. Okay, so I'm going to clear that. And let's look at our next problem. Got x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 6y plus 9 equal to 0. Well, first thing we have to do is we have to put this into standard form. So let's do that. Now this is in our general form, and we want to put it in standard form. So general form to standard form. Our first step is we're going to group the x's, group the y's, and take the number to the right side. What that means is I got an x squared, and I'll put the negative 4x right beside it, so we'll group those two together. And then I got y squared, and I'll put the 6y right next to it. So group those two together, and we'll take the 9 to the right side, so it becomes a negative 9. When you take anything across equals, your sign changes. Now I say take the number to the right side. There's a lot of numbers. When I say number, I'm talking about the constant term. Then step 2. We're going to complete the square on the x's and complete the square on the y's. Now if you remember completing a square from college algebra, I pretty well assume you don't, that's why I'm going over it. Complete the square on the x's. You take the number that's before your x, which is negative 4, and you multiply it times a half, and you square it. It's always times a half, and it's always squared. So that gives us negative 2 squared, which gives us 4. Now for the y's, we're going to take the number before the y, which is 6, multiply it times a half, and square it. It's always times a half, it's always squared. 6 times a half is 3, and 3 squared gives us 9. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add that number to both sides. So I got x squared minus 4x plus 4. Now notice we're putting it in with the grouping of the x's. And over here I'll have negative 9 plus 4. Now for the y's, we came up with 9, so we're going to have y squared plus 6y plus 9. And remember, we add the number to both sides. So you can't willy-nilly put these numbers anywhere. The 4 you have to put with the x's, the 9 you have to put with the y's. Now this factors as x minus 2 squared, and this one factors as y plus 3 squared. Now over on the right side, negative 9 plus 9 drops away, and we got 4, like that. Now, I'm not some kind of factoring wizard, though these are pretty easy ones. If to factor this, remember you always take the number inside the parentheses right before you square it, sign included, and that's what goes right over here. Same here. I take the number inside the parentheses right before I square it, sign included, and that's what goes right there. So there really is no factoring on that. Now once we've done this, this is in standard form. So we can easily identify our HK and R. Well, H is always what's with your X, and it's opposite sign, so that's negative 2, so this is positive 2. If you're wondering why it's opposite sign, remember your standard form is X minus H and Y minus K. Whenever you have the minus in your forms like that, it always flips the signs. And this is going to be our K, and it's going to be negative 3, it's opposite sign. And this is going to be our R. Remember, we take the square root of it. So square root of 4. So we get R is equal to 2. So remember part A. What was part A? Find the center. Okay. So center is HK, which we said H was 2 and K is negative 3. And our radius is R, which was 2. Step or part B, graph it. Okay. So we got 2, negative 3. Would be right here. And our radius is 2, so we've got a distance of 2 right here. And then I'll draw as close as I can in the circle. I shouldn't drink before I do that, I guess. Just kidding. I don't drink anymore. That'd be our graph. Well, I drew it kind of bad, but it does intersect right here. But let's find our intercept. See, it says find the intercepts. So let's find the x-intercept first. Now remember, for your x-intercept, you'll plug 0 into the other variable. So there's my standard form. There it is. We write it down. X minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. I think you probably find it easiest and most times to plug it into your standard form instead of the general form. So we're finding the x-intercept, so plug 0 in for y. So I got x minus 2 squared plus 0 plus 3 squared equals 4. So we got x minus 2 squared plus 0 plus 3 is 3, 3 squared is 9 equals 4. Yeah, I think you're probably kind of seeing where this one's headed. Take the 9 over, I get 4 minus 9. And we get x minus 2 squared equals negative 5. Remember our square root property. You drop the squared, and you put a plus or minus square root around the other side. And then solve for x. So take negative 2 over, becomes a positive 2. And remember, the negative inside square root gives you an I. Now, a lot of people put that at the end. I don't like people to get confused and think it goes under the square root. So you put it in front, put it behind. Put it behind is officially the correct place. Now, we got an imaginary number, so that means there is no x-intercept. Let's find our y-intercept. So we got x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. And we're finding a y-intercept, so we always plug 0 into the other variable, so plug 0 in for x. So I got 0 minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. Get the part that's squared by itself so we can use the square root property. So I'll take this 4 over to the right side. It becomes a negative 4. So we've got y plus 3 squared equals 0. Square root property says drop your squared and put a plus or minus square root around the other side. Well, square root of 0 is 0. Plus 0, negative 0 is just 0. 0 doesn't have a sign. So I take 3 over and I get y is equal to negative 3. So this is our y-intercept, what we just found. And that kind of makes sense based on what we came up with the graph. So our y-intercept is 0, negative 3. And let me save that. There we go. Probably time for it to blow up. Oh, it didn't. So let's look at another problem. This is another complete a square. Excuse me. So I got x squared plus y squared plus x minus 4y plus 13/4 equals 0. Okay, now we're going to complete a square on this. We're going to group the x's together. So I got x squared plus x. Group the y's, so I got y squared minus 4y, and we'll take the number to the right side. So that becomes a negative 13/4. Now we're going to complete a square on each one of these. So for the x's and for the y's, take the numbers for our x, which is 1, and we'll multiply it times a half and we'll square it. So that gives us 1/2 squared or 1/4. For the y's, take the number for our y, which is negative 4, and multiply it times a half and square it. So that gives us negative 2 squared, which gives us 4. So we're going to add those to both sides. The 1/4 I want to group with the x's. So I got x squared plus x plus 1/4. The y's, I got y squared minus 4y plus 4. And since I added those to the left side, I also have to add them to the right side. Like that. Now this right here factors. This factors as x plus 1/2 squared. And this one factors as y minus 2 squared. Negative 13/4 plus 1/4 gives me negative 12/4, or negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Let me see if that's right. Negative 12 over 4, negative 3. Yeah, that's correct. And this is now in standard form. Now our h is again what's with our x and its opposite sign. So h is negative 1/2. K is what's with our y and its opposite sign, so it'd be positive 2. And this is r, and we take the square root of whatever number's there. But in this case, square root of 1 is just 1. So our center is hk, which h we said was negative 1/2, and k is 2. And our radius is r, which is 1. Well, let's graph this. Okay, negative 1/2 and 2. So negative 1/2, 2, center will be right there. And we're going to go to a distance of 1. Well, the distance of 1 would be about right here maybe. So go around. I just cannot draw a good circle. But we get that. Okay. So now let's find our intercepts. First thing we'll do is find our x-intercept. And again, you always plug 0 into the other variable. Now I'm going to work with the standard form here. So I got x plus 1/2 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 1. So I got x plus 1/2 squared plus 0 minus 2 squared equals 1. So we got x plus 1/2 squared plus 0 minus 2 is -2. Negative 2 squared is 4 over 1. And again, you're probably seeing where this one's heading, which makes sense. It doesn't cross the x-axis, does it? So I got x plus 1/2 squared. Take the 4 over. I got 1 minus 4. X plus 1/2 squared equals -3. Square root property, you drop off the squared, and you put a plus or minus square root around the other side. And I take the 1/2 over, becomes a -1/2, but a negative inside of a square root gives you I. So we can stop right there. We could actually stop further up. At the point where you see there's no x-intercept, don't even continue. I just want to show it to give you more examples. Okay, our y-intercept. So we got x plus 1/2 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 1. Again, we'll always plug 0 into the other variable, so we're going to plug 0 in for x. So I got 0 plus 1/2 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 1. 0 plus 1/2 is 1/2. 1/2 squared is 1/4. Plus y minus 2 squared equals 1. Get the part squared by itself. So I'll take the 1/4 over to the right side. Anytime you take anything across the equals, sign changes. We got y minus 2 squared equals 1 is like 4 over 4, so this gives us 3/4. Square root property. Drop your squared. Put a plus or minus square root around the other side. If you remember from intermediate algebra, we can't have a fraction inside of a square root, but we've got a property. We can put a square root around top and square root around the bottom. Well, that still doesn't do us any good because we can't have a square root downstairs. But this one works out nice because square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so we'll take -2 over. We got y is equal to 2 plus or minus square root of 3 over 2. I'm going to do this long way, and then I'm going to mention a shortcut. 2 I can rewrite as 4 over 2 plus or minus square root of 3 over 2. And usually simplified form means get a single fraction. They both have the same denominator, so I add or subtract the top parts. In this case, it's plus or minus. And this would be our y-intercept. Now, I'm not going to put it in point form, but you could if you wanted to. The shortcut on that, this is a mixed number form. If you take this number here, 2, multiply it times the number down here. 2 times 2 is 4. And then you got the plus or minus the top part. So you can go directly to here. That's going to be handy in trig because there's a lot of places where you can use that. And that's well, actually, let me go ahead and put it in point form just to be complete. So 0 and then 4 plus or minus square root of 3 over 2. Now this is the exact form. If we were graphing, we would probably want to get an approximate to help us figure out where in the world that's at. Let me save that. There we go. And let's look at the last problem. This one has a special little trick to it. You have to remember it from college algebra. Got 9x squared plus 9y squared plus 6x plus 6y minus 79 equal to 0. Now, if you remember completing a square, we didn't want any number in front of the squared parts. So like this x squared here, I don't want the 9 there. I mean, we could work with it, but it's a lot easier if we go ahead and get rid of that. Well, in this case, this is real easy. To get the squared parts by themselves, we just divide everything by 9. So I'm going to divide that by 9, and this one by 9. Actually, all of them by 9. Even to 0. Okay. Here those 9's cancel. Here these 9's cancel. So I got x squared plus y squared. 6/9 reduces to 2/3. So I got 2/3 x plus 2/3 y minus 79 over 9, and then 0 divided by 9 is 0. Okay, now this is in a form we can start working with it. We want to group the x's together. So I got x squared plus 2/3 x. Group the y's together. So I got y squared plus 2/3 y. And take the number to the right side, the constant term. So that gives us a positive 79 over 9. Is that a negative to begin with? Yeah, it was. Okay. Well, we want to complete the square. For the x's, take the number that's before the x, which is 2/3. Multiply it times 1/2 and square it. The 2 is going to cancel there, so we got 1/3 squared, which gives us 1/9. And y is actually the same on this one because the number for the y is 2/3. So again, we take 2/3 times 1/2 squared. 2's cancel. We got 1/3 squared, which gives us a positive 1/9. So for the x grouping here, we got x squared plus 2/3 x plus 1/9. For the y's, I got y squared plus 2/3 y plus 1/9. And over on the right side, since I added 1/9 here and 1/9 here, I have to add them on the right side also. So I got 79 over 9 plus 1/9 plus 1/9. Now this one factors as x plus 1/3 squared. This one factors as y plus 1/3 squared. And this one, if I add those together, they'll all have the same denominator, so I add the top part. 79 plus 1 is 81 over 9, which I'll simplify in the next step. Now remember the trick on that. Whatever number's right here, right before you square it, sign included, is always what goes right here. This one, whatever number's right here, sign included, goes here. Makes that step so easy. So our standard form is x plus 1/3 squared plus y plus 1/3 squared equals 9. Okay, so this is going to be our h, and it's going to be opposite sign, so it's negative 1/3. This is going to be our k, and it's opposite sign, so it'll be negative 1/3. And this is our r, and we just have to take the square root of it. So square root of 9, which gives us 3. So our center is going to be hk, which is negative 1/3 and negative 1/3. Our radius is r, which is going to be 3. So that's part A. Find the center and radius. Now B, I'm going to go ahead and do up here. We're going to graph it. Well, negative 1/3 and negative 1/3. Maybe right there. Radius of 3. Okay, so that's right there. 1, 2, maybe right there. Yeah, look at that circle. I'm getting better. Well, it looks like we have some intercepts, so let's see what we find out there. So we're starting with x plus 1/3 squared plus y plus 1/3 squared equals 9. Now we got something nice that happens here. Since these are exactly the same, it doesn't matter if I plug 0 in for x or 0 in for y. Whatever value I get will be the same as the other intercept. Which I guess it does look symmetric there, doesn't it? I made these numbers up, so this is my first time seeing them. Okay, so our x-intercept. We're going to plug 0 into the other variable. So I got x plus 1/3 squared plus 0 plus 1/3 squared equals 9. So we got x plus 1/3 squared plus 0 plus 1/3 is 1/3, and 1/3 squared is 1/9, equals 9. We want to get the part that's squared by itself, so I take the 1/9 over. So we got 9 minus 1/9. So we got x plus 1/3 squared equals 80 over 9. This is a mixed number form again. If you got a negative, it always goes to the top. So 9 times 9 is 81, and then negative 1 minus 1 gives us 80 over 9. Square root property. Drop off your squared, put a plus or minus square root around the other side. Excuse me. Well, I'm going to take the 1/3 over. It gives us negative 1/3. Can't have a fraction inside of a square root, so put a square root around the top and square root around the bottom, which gives us negative 1/3 plus or minus 80 is 2, 4, 8, 16 times 5. 2, 4, 8, 16. Yeah. And the bottom part, that's just 3. So we got x is equal to negative 1/3 plus or minus square root. Remember, we're looking for a pair of somethings. Here's a pair of 2's, and here's a pair of 2's. So those are going to come out in front as single 2's. So I got 2 times 2, and there's multiplication between them. Square root of 5 over 3, which gives us negative 1 plus or minus 4 square root of 5 over 3. Now I made these up, so you see it doesn't come out very nice, but that doesn't matter. So there would be our answer for that. Now for our y-intercept. Now we're going to plug 0 into the other variable. So if I should have started out a little higher. Let me erase that and try again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so plug 0 into the other variable. I got 0 plus 1/3. This is my y-intercept. Squared plus, and this would be y plus 1/3 squared equals 9. And what I just said, 0 plus 1/3 is 1/3. 1/3 squared is 1/9, which is this right here. This is going to give us the same value. So I'm going to get y is equal to negative 1 plus or minus 4 square root of 5 over 3. And if I put it in point form, it would be 0, negative 1 plus or minus 4 square root of 5 over 3. And those would be our intercepts. And I believe that's our last problem. Yes, it is. So let me stop the recorder here. On both of them. Yeah, did I click it? Okay, there I clicked it. And now F10.